So you've been in the business you're in for a while now. You've risen through the ranks, you've got years of experience under your belt, and though at heart you may feel like you're still in your mid to late 20s, you're not. But maybe your team is. And now you find yourself shaking your head or your fists wondering what's the matter with kids these days. Except they're not kids. They're your team members. And regardless of how many generations separate you, you've got to be able to connect with them if you want to get anything done. Here's how using stories can help. And the key in this situation to finding stories to connect with your younger team members is to think about what you do have in common instead of what you don't. Now, it's common to get stuck in the ways our lives are so different. Like the time I saw kids taking photos in front of a payphone because they thought it was an Instagram prop instead of an actual phone people used to use. But focusing on the differences isn't going to help you in this situation. Instead, think about stories of situations that, despite your age difference, you have likely both encountered in some form or another. Think broad, like playing sports as a kid. Whether or not they played a sport, and many people have at some point in their lives played a sport, the sports motif is one that we're all familiar with, either as a participant, a spectator, or even just watching a sport-themed movie or actual games on TV. You can tell stories about crazy family members or wacky friends and the lessons they taught you. These stories are not age or generation specific. Additionally, if there are specific job-related commonalities that you're aware of, there's another category of stories you can tell. If you're leading the finance department and you know that they all had to sit through an econ class or pass the CPA exam, you could tell a story about that. If you're all in sales, you could tell the story of one of your early embarrassing sales flop. It's true. In terms of generations in the workforce, it has never been more diverse. And because of how rapidly technology has impacted all of our experiences, it can feel like talking to a different species altogether. However, despite the various forces constantly driving us to focus on our differences, the reality is, as humans, we have a lot more in common than we don't. Trust in that. Use it to your advantage. It might mean taking a trip down memory lane in order to find that common ground and the stories that are familiar to you both, but those are the kinds of stories that can bridge any gap, age or otherwise, and you and your team will be better for it.